throughout the years, there have been vehicles I've always wanted to feature, but thanks to the car shortages and a lack of availability, I never got the opportunity to check them out. Well, we're going to cross off one vehicle on my list, which is the Ford Ranger Raptor. And more specifically, in this market, we have checked out a number of body-on-frame SUVs and pickups, and most of them are powered by a Turbo 4. Well, the Ford Ranger is not one of those pickups, thankfully, and instead, you might actually get a really unique experience right now in the middle 2020s. In today's video, we're going to check out what the Ford Ranger Raptor has to offer us. Is this the best pickup truck you can buy right now? We're going to find out. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Acton Ford in Acton, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out their Ford Ranger Raptor. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Ford inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For full transparency, our Ranger Raptor is a 2024 model with about 15,000 miles on the odometer. So if you are looking at buying one of these, you can check it out in person. Now, for this particular Ford Ranger Raptor, it came in at a starting cost of just over $55,000 with about $600 worth of add-ons. We have a spray and bed liner, then also a keyless keypad if you're looking for that type of security and safety. Now, at around $55,000, you can't compare this to a Colorado ZR2 and then, of course, the Toyota Tacoma. But at that price point, you're looking at Turbo 4s or a Hybrid 4, and that can really scare off a lot of buyers in this market, especially for those of you who are more of a traditional mid-sized pickup truck consumer looking for a rugged experience, a cool experience, but also you want a V6 or possibly even a V8, which we're not going to see a V8 in this market, at least right now in the 2020s. Now, as you can tell for the exterior, though, this is the big one for me. The fact that it looks so aggressive, so rugged, the way it sits on the road, really sinister and also cool as well. Now, aside from the mechanical components that we'll talk about later on during this video, the aesthetics is really what sets this particular model apart from a standard Ranger. So you have the aggressive cladding and fender flares, which adds some girth and width to this model. In fact, you're looking at close to 4.5 inches wider than a standard Ranger. So this is going to be a pickup truck that, one, is going to look menacing from up front, but then with that width and that girth, you are going to have the ability to take on some deeper snow, deeper mud. That capability is what really is going to draw a lot of you in to this particular model. So up front, you are going to receive full LED headlights, and then of course you had that aggressive mesh grille here with the Ford badge being stamped out into that grille, giving you a baby F-150 Raptor vibe to this model. For the lower portion of the front bumper, you're going to have the fog lights as well for better visibility at night or in adverse weather conditions. Now, you will have those skid plates here, so that way when you are on those trails, you're not scraping the undercarriage of your pickup truck. And then there's two tow hook mounts here, so that way you can tow out that ZR2 if they get stuck in the snow or mud. Then as you make your way over to the side profile, you can tell it sits a bit higher off the ground compared to a standard Ranger. You are going to have a ground clearance of 10.7 inches, and this is highlighted by the 2.5-inch diameter Fox live valve internal bypass coil over shocks. Now, you're also going to have forged aluminum double wishbone suspension with longer, stronger A-arms, so you can really take on the elements. You can abuse this pickup truck, probably more importantly, if you are an avid adventurer. Now, with the ground clearance of 10.7 inches that we have here for this model, I don't think deep snow or mud is going to be too much of an issue. Getting into the wheels and tires, you are going to have 17-inch alloy wheels wrapped in 33-inch all-terrain tires. Now, I know what you're going to be saying. What about that road noise? It's going to be egregious, isn't it? It is, but you can live with it on a daily basis if you are someone who constantly takes on the off-road. Now, also one thing I really like to see here, since we have more ground clearance to this model and it's lifted, you are going to have very aggressive side running boards here, so that way if you're like myself and you're short, you can easily get access into the cab of this pickup truck. Now, you are going to have body color matched side mirror caps with turn signal indicators to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Then as you make your way around to the back, you are going to have those LED taillights here. So LED light setup for both the front and rear fascias, giving you a modern appearance. You have the Raptor badge stamped out on the bed, and then the Raptor badge also on the tailgate, reminding you this is not going to be a standard Ranger. And that Ranger badge will be stamped into the tailgate as well. Very trendy in this market. Now, I think highlighting this model, though, is going to be the dual chrome exhaust outlets, which do have a nice sound to them and really sets the tone for what this pickup truck will be offering. Also, you will have 2 tow hook mounts once again, so you can tow out that Tacoma or ZR2 Colorado, and you will have that trailer hitch here, giving you a towing capacity of 5,510 pounds. And then when you open up that tailgate, you will have a payload capacity of 1,400 pounds. So a lot of capability and versatility here with this pickup truck. And then we get to the good part here, and that is a 3-liter twin turbocharged V6. I don't really need to say any more. Aside from the Nissan Frontier, there is no other manufacturer giving you a V6 in this market. That's including Chevrolet and Toyota, which is a very sad statement to be making here. But you are going to have 405 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission, and you will have a full-time 4-wheel drive system. So pair all of this up with the mechanical components of the suspension, the 10.7 inches of ground clearance, all-terrain tires. You are going to have a pickup truck that is both fun on pavement and off. Although I will say, though, the 10-speed automatic is not my favorite transmission in this market. I think there's too many gears here with the Ford Ranger Raptor, but some of you might disagree with me on that if you are using this as a sporty, aggressive pickup truck during your weekday commutes. And then we get to the fuel economy, which I know I don't even need to really be bringing this up because we already know it's not going to be the best in this market, but you're looking at right around 16 miles per gallon in the city and 18 miles per gallon on the highway. But this is one of those vehicles where miles per gallon is so much better than miles per gallon. Hopping inside the Ford Ranger Raptor, you are greeted by power-adjustable heated leather trim seats for both the driver and passenger, with the driver's side having 3-position memory for added convenience. Now, there's a few things I want to point out here about these seats that Ford doesn't necessarily highlight in their configurator. So you are going to have some suede inserts as well, which gives you just a bit more grip and is a nice touch that adds to the comfort factor for this model. There's also some orange accents as well, giving you a 2-tone look for the interior. And you have the Raptor badge being stamped out on the back of these seats. So really nice touch here, really sets a tone for what the Ranger Raptor will be providing us for the on-road driving experience. Now, I love the upholstery. I like the premium feel of them as well. And also the bolstering is really aggressive. So when you are taking on the ruts, you're going off-road, or even when you are just on pavement and you're having a lot of fun with this pickup truck and its V6, you can stay nice and secure being behind the wheel or when you are up front as the passenger. Now, it continues on, though, because for a pickup truck like this, for a pickup truck in general, you're not really expecting to have the most enjoyable, sporty experience, right? Like, some brands do a pretty good job giving you a nice driving environment, but with the Ford Ranger Raptor, you don't even need to leave the parking lot before you realize that this is going to give you quite the fun and exhilarating experience. So you are going to have a leather-wrapped steering wheel, which feels really nice in the hands, aggressive 10-2 and firm 9-3 grips. Also, you have a nice little ring there at the top of the steering wheel. Again, gives you that sporty touch. But I love the massive paddle shifters here that you can rotate the gears yourself with that 10-speed automatic, which I highly recommend when you are in sport mode. Now, in front of you will be a full digital gauge cluster, which we have checked out numerous times in the Ford product line. It's laid out the exact same way, similar resolution and quality. I'm not going to bore you today with the layout of the screen because with the Raptor, you have some unique icons and buttons on the steering wheel, which also sets up your driving experience here for this particular pickup. So if this is your first time taking a look at the Raptor, we're going to find out what these buttons do. So next to your up and down icons and OK button will be a steering icon for your normal, comfort, and sport. So you can have more of a stiffer handling here with this pickup truck. I prefer that out of a model such as this. Also, your damping, you can go with normal, sport, and off-road. And then lastly would be your exhaust icon for quiet, normal, sport, and Baja. Baja is only for off-road use, but I know a lot of you are going to be in this mode to annoy your neighbors and also to get that better sound out of that exhaust system. Now, better yet, you can save all of these settings and you can customize this to your heart's content by pressing down on the button with the Raptor logo, and that will save your My Mode. Really cool stuff here. But then on top of this, you will have a drive mode selector for a number of different drive modes, such as normal, sport, tow and haul, slippery, Baja, and then of course rock and crawl. Then taking a look at the infotainment system, this is Ford's older layout here that we no longer see in a lot of products such as the Ford Explorer, Ford Maverick, Bronco, Bronco Sport, because Ford is moving in the Android and Google-based software direction. But this will create a bit of a learning curve though if this is your first time taking a look at the Ranger Raptor. Now you will have physical buttons though and dials for your dual zone climate control, your volume, all also fan speed, and then max AC. But then everything else is on the screen itself. For your dual zone climate control, your double heated seats, heated steering wheel, fan speed, fan direction. So all that's right here within arm's reach. Then just above that will be quick access icons for your radio, your smartphone connectivity, onboard navigation, and then you have towing as well. Now you will have more icons and menus to the top of the screen. This gives you more of an easier layout with all your widgets in place. So just like we saw for the middle portion of the screen, you have your radio, phone, navigation, media, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, owner's manual as well. And then you have zone lighting, which is very common from Ford. Next, that will be a vehicle icon. And from here, you can adjust everything, mostly for general settings, but also controls as well. We're not going to dive into that today since this is going to be a fun pickup truck. And I just want to get on the road here with this model. And then next, the vehicle icon is going to be your plethora of camera angles, such as your front-facing camera, rear backup camera with trajectory, top view giving you a 360-degree bird's eye view, then also, of course, your trailer hitch cam as well. So you'll be able to do everything with this pickup truck very seamlessly and safely. Then for the rest of the interior, beneath the head unit, you are going to have a wireless phone charging pad. Next, that will be a cubby for some loose change, possibly even a card holder, USB-C and USB-A outlet. Then you're going to have for the center console your traditional gear shifter, 2 cup holders, your drive mode selector, 2 high, 4 low, 4 auto. Then you're going to have some buttons here for your park assist features, also your auto start stop. But then when you press down on this nice terrain button here, this will open up your front-facing camera with trajectory. So when you are on those trails, you're going to have that ability to safely go over the rocks and ruts. But then beneath that will be buttons for your front and rear locking differentials, and then you will have your tire pressure monitoring system from here as well. So I do like the fact that even though it is tech-focused, everything does have a purpose. Then for the center storage compartment, it is somewhat deep here, where I think you can store some smaller water bottles if you lay them down. Also, of course, your smartphone or other wallets, and then there will be a tray for some loose change. Now you will have the ability to open up that rear window, and that will be found above, and then also you have your auxiliary switches here as well if you have any add-ons for this vehicle. Now for passengers in the second row, you're going to receive right on 34.5 inches of legroom, which is pretty much identical with that Chevrolet Colorado ZR2. So you get a V6 and you're not sacrificing interior space to receive that better engine. So really good stuff here. On top of that, I think you can try squeezing in a third person in the center thanks to the width of the Ranger Raptor. So that gives you a lot of flexibility. Also with the leather upholstery, it feels really nice here, very comfortable and welcoming. Now when it comes to headroom, for me it's perfectly fine, but I think taller passengers might be hitting their head on the headliner. And of course, with this being a mid-sized pickup truck, some people might feel cramped or claustrophobic. Now surprisingly enough though, you're not going to have center mounted air vents here. I was expecting that for a top trim from the Ford Ranger, but that just isn't the case. Not a lot of airflow here for this model. Now you are going to have a USB-C and USB-A outlet, just like we saw up front, then a 3-pronged outlet, and better yet, you are going to receive a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Oddly enough, this is the most fun I've ever had behind the wheel of a Ford product in all the years I have been doing reviews, aside from the Ford Mustang. But in this lineup, the Ranger Raptor is offering a unique experience. Maybe not so much compared to an F-150 Raptor or Bronco Raptor, but if you've never experienced a model with the Raptor nameplate, you are in for a huge surprise and a very fun experience. Now, compared to its rivals from Chevrolet, from Toyota, from Nissan, this is something that is almost a one-off experience right now. Twin-turbo V6, but also an off-road tuned pickup truck that can still be fun on pavement. This is rare to find. Now, the V6 alone changes up everything, right? Like, I've had too much experience with a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and I'm getting bored of it. But it goes even deeper than that. The way Ford has tuned the suspension and the steering input of this pickup, you have a very aggressively weighted steering that's almost outrageously aggressive for a pickup truck in the 2020s. Comparing this to a Chevrolet or a Toyota, those two models have very vague and light steering, and it leaves a lot more to be desired. For pickup trucks that should be fun, that should be agile, that should be sports tuned, they leave a lot on the table. And with the Ford Ranger Raptor, that's not the case here. In fact, you can really push this pickup truck in ways that shouldn't be normal for a vehicle of this size, of its weight, and of its ground clearance. As a commuter vehicle, As a pickup truck that you'll have in your driveway, in your garage, and you're driving the kids to school or going on some road trip, you're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to be laughing and smiling the entire way. And best of all, with the steering input, being on a winding back road like this, sure, the weight, you can feel it. You feel the weight transfer. You also feel just how heavy this pickup truck is. It's still going to have the maneuverability that is uncanny for a pickup truck with its girth and width, and also its track. But it's super responsive on the brakes, very strong here. In the corners, very nice. Now I will say that the downshifts are unnecessarily aggressive. And like I said before, the 10-speed automatic, there's too many gears here for this pickup truck. I like the 8 speeds that are found in some rivals. Now I will say though that with this 10-speed auto, it is best in manual mode, and we are going to experience that. And the sound of the V6 too. So refreshing. See, the downshifts are very aggressive, but very quick and snappy upshifts. Now, when it comes to ride quality, a lot of your discomfort is going to come from the all-terrain tires. You feel every inch of those tires, for sure. But I think they've done a pretty good job with the damping of this pickup truck. You can go over the bumps and imperfections, and it doesn't really necessarily abuse you in that way, which is great to see. It kind of hides the fact that it is a body-on-frame pickup truck, which I really like. And a lot of pickup trucks in this market are rather soft, and they're tuned for comfort more than anything. But the fact that this pickup truck is off-road ready, and it's not going to really throw you around, abuse you, and that's something I can really like here. It's a pickup truck that is versatile in more ways than one. Not only for the off-road, but if you're going to be using this as a daily driver, it's perfect in that way. The question I am asking myself here, though, is this the trendsetter? Is this setting the bar? You know, is this the best pickup truck money can buy under $60,000? You know, is this better than a Nissan Frontier Pro 4X? Is this better than a Toyota Tacoma TRD? Is this better than a Chevrolet Colorado ZR2? The thing here is the twin-turbo V6 makes a huge case for itself, and I don't think you need to go much further than that. And I know some people are going to say, oh, you know, you're being way too biased because the Turbo 4s are great. They are, but, you know, in today's automotive industry, with efficiency being the top priority and having emissions being the thing that holds everything back, it's refreshing to have a twin-turbo V6. I mean, I think that alone makes this a better choice. I mean, sure, you might find some better features. You might find better capability. You might find better ground clearance. You might find a better looking pickup. But it comes back to its performance. You know, can a Turbo 4 really replicate what you have with a V6? To have a pickup truck that can do everything, you know, it can go off-road. It can be fun to drive on pavement. Not a lot of pickup trucks can do that. Not a lot of pickup trucks can offer that. And to have all this under $60,000, that really puts the Ranger Raptor into a category of its own. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the Ford Ranger Raptor. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys next time.